It's funny. We used to always find Mother's Day was always a better open house day than Father's Day. It's
Oh,
like
wow.
everybody gets what they want. So mom wants to go and look at houses. Dad wants to do anything but go and look at houses.
I always wondered about that. Why on Mother's Day do we take mom out for dinner, and on Father's Day, Dad cooks? There's something going on there. Good morning, Ira.
Good morning. Good morning. I have an answer for your question, Marty.
Tell me.
Because mother always cook, so
There we
there's
go.
no need to not cook. Father
So-
not always cook.
So it's special to have. I don't know. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with that. Go to Bass Pro Shop or something. I don't know. Like Don said. That is funny. Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Dad.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Don.
Morning, Dad.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Quiet this morning. It's all right.
Our internet was out from about noon Saturday for the entire weekend.
Seriously?
Yes. They're out there working. We're out there working on it now, Trina says.
You know why? No, that's
No.
weird.
That's what I guess they're out there trying to figure that out. I think it might be the modem. You'd unplug the modem, plug it back in, it'd come back on for maybe 5 minutes and then cut out again. It's like,
You're probably right then.
well,
I hate it. Obviously we all need a downtime sometime from electronics, but still, when you're in the middle of something, you're like, you lose power or you lose the internet, you're like, "Urgh."
yeah.
That's funny. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. All right. Well, it's 10:01. Got the recording button going. We already started talking about open houses and brokers opens before the call. So what do we got? Marie, anything going down there in Harlingen? Anything that we should know about? I think she stepped out. Huh?
Maybe. I don't know. She's muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. Tell me
Yeah.
again.
I said, what's going on down in Harlingen?
What's going on down here? Well, this weekend, we have Markets Day downtown Harlingen, so it was pretty loaded.
Nice.
It was very, very hot. A lot of people, a lot of movement, a lot of open houses. It's just a great weekend. Everything seems like it's going back into place and moving.
Nice. We're starting to see a lot more activity here as well, at least come across our desk. And as far as transactions being done, that kind of stuff. So good. Morning, Samantha. All right. Don, did you find a place for your clients, by the way?
Still looking.
Okay.
We're close. We've got it down to, I think, 2.
Good. It's like, come on.
we're getting close. We're getting closer. It's parents buying it for the kids, and they're going to buy it. They're paying cash, and then they're going to sell it back to the kids, owner financed.
Oh, yeah, nice. I had some clients like that once. They saved up a bunch of their own money. I mean, I'm like $200,000. I mean, they done really well, and then the parents bought the house, and they gave the parents the $200,000, whatever it is, and they financed the rest. It was pretty cool. I wish I could do that for my kids.
Yeah, right. These are clients I've had for over 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, they just won't go anywhere else. I can't shake them.
That's a
Not
good
that I
problem.
want to.
Not that you want to, right? That's awesome. Congratulations. It's funny. We for those that are on the call too, I got the inspection done this weekend. Should be cleared on inspection as far as negotiation. All good stuff. We're in there, and the buyers are telling me that the wine fridge is included. I go, we didn't ask for that. Where did we get that information from? Well, it's in the listing. I go, but we didn't ask for it. Well, lo and behold, they're going to leave it, so that's good. So they, but I'm like, I better check.
Crisis averted.
Right? I'm like, Where'd that expectation come from? I always love those, right?
It's funny how a $200 item like that can just screw up the whole thing.
Yep. And I called I go, I want to make sure we avoid a problem. So my clients have this idea that's included. I know that we didn't ask for it. Can you check? And she's like, oh, it's not included. I go, nope. She goes, well, I'll check. And then conversation later, yeah, we're good. We're leaving. It's great. So go funny. Morning, Raul.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Morning, Raul.
Morning, everybody.
Janice reminded me that it's spring break for many people, so that's probably why the traffic wasn't so bad this morning. So
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
good morning. Morning, Ronnie. Let's see. Anybody? All right.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Any questions this morning from anybody?
I had a question from an agent through the weekend. What is the proper time for a response when you submit an offer to the other side, to the listing side? Is it 24 hours, 48 hours, unless it's written, or they should just wait on it?
Interesting. I definitely want to hear what Don's answer is because he teaches on this stuff too. But we have a new TREC rule as well that we have to respond to all parties and inquire within 2 days. So that's sort of a hard and fast rule, first of all. And it can just simply be, I'm still getting back to you. We got it. Let's receive it. Doesn't mean we need a response by them. And I know time is of the essence in many of these offers, but it's not clear as far as when that may be.
Right.
In some states, it says 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever, or I need a response by this time. We don't have that here. And so sometimes that can be very frustrating when you're a buyer's agent putting an offer in, this expires on whatever. So Don?
Yeah, HAR does have a form that can be included, but they don't talk about it much and they don't promote it much. But there is a form that they have where it can either be used as a withdrawal of offer or to put a time limit on it to respond. And that should be used a lot more because you're right. It's unclear. No, but they don't ever really say that there's a definitive time that it has to be responded to. And a lot of times, people kind of use that, have a strategy as to how much time they're going to wait. It's like if I don't want to seem too eager. I don't want to seem like that I'm not interested, but I don't want to give away too much of a negotiating position. And I mean, there's all kinds of thought processes that go into the response of an offer.
Yes, and if it's a reasonable offer, the buyer who you're representing, sometimes they want a quick answer, especially if they're in the last stage of their apartment kind of lease to.
Yeah.
And then also if us as agents, sometimes we go the extra mile and we just check maybe to see if there's an open house coming on the property in the next 2 or 3 days. Maybe they want to hold it a little bit. They might come back and say, the husband is traveling. We need for them to be together to get a proper response. It might take a couple of days. But just as if we're on the other side, when we do receive this offer, to just educate our clients to maybe have a quicker response, because we're going to be the ones receiving those emails and texts and calls, right? Hey, do you have an answer? We're seeing other properties, and it could be a good deal too. It pertains to how long we get an answer, or how long we give one. Yeah.
If I was a buyer's agent,
Yes.
If I was a buyer's agent and I submit an offer on my email, when I send the contract and all the forms I was submitting there, I would like to have an answer within 24 hours.
Okay. There is a form?
Because we have to know exactly, because sometimes the other agent takes forever to present the offer, even though they know they only have a certain time.
Yeah.
But they will take forever to submit the offer. And if I was the seller part, I want to know, what do you have for me? But 24 hours, I always try to put in there.
But even that request, though, is not binding, right? You're just making a request. They don't have to, because it's not in the contract or even part of it. You can,
Right.
as Don said, use the form. Interesting on this, we put an offer in on a property recently, and the one we're talking about earlier, same type of thing. and put an offer in on a Friday. They had an open house scheduled for Sunday, right? So we made an offer. The sellers got the offer and they're thinking about it. And then the buyers are mad that they're actually still holding their open house on Sunday. I go, you don't have a deal. You're making an offer until they accept it. If you were the sellers, which you were recently, you want to keep on going until you find a buyer, right? And you're still looking at properties as well, so no one's in a commitment. Even if they're going to counter, they're going to keep on marketing it. That only makes sense. That puts pressure on the buyer to act, and also puts pressure on the seller either way. But yeah, until the deal's done, it's kind of funny. They're going to keep on marketing things. You would think on the seller part, well, this buyer, right? We'll keep the open house. You never know until we get something together, right? So crazy stuff. But you're right. So response time is key. Communicating with the agents also key. Like, look, my buyers are looking at multiple properties. They've decided on this property. We like to have a response, whatever. And then, just knowing they're still looking, right? That may be a little bit more incentive for them to get back to you.
But I believe in the form, it shows like 3 days maximum, and the agent needs to present that offer to the seller, and the seller needs to sign it. And then they will have to send it back to you. So I believe it's 3 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, again, for that offer, what if they present it in a day? The seller doesn't want it, they don't want to respond. All the agent has to do is say, sorry, seller's still reviewing it, or seller doesn't want to. There you go. They responded to you with your time. So
Okay.
it still has to be signed and agreed by all parties. And that's the, part of our code of ethics really is to collaborate and work and communicate with both sides, make sure, we're doing it. We have a duty to present all offers to our seller in a timely manner. And typically that is as soon as possible. So, I mean, it can't be next week. That's not timely. But what is the time? Is it 2 days? That seems reasonable. Is it a day? Our duties as agents, if we receive an offer at midnight tonight, probably okay if I deliver it tomorrow morning, right, to my client, and then I'll meet with them, and so forth. So, Don or Raul on those thoughts? Any more?
Yes, I would say the quicker we respond, the better, just because we will be getting, in a way, the world will be bombarded with emails, texts, and calls from the other side if it takes longer. But then again, if we did come into a multi-offer situation, also disclose that as well. So,
That's true.
Can you see where I shared the screen?
Yep.
There's the form.
What is the number on it?
It doesn't have a number, unfortunately. No number. It's an HAR form. They don't number their forms.
You're gonna notice.
Don, it's any way that you can upload it on our documents on the Smart Agent or Smart platform?
I might be persuaded to do that.
So we don't email you and text you, where is that form at?
Yeah, I will definitely do that. I'll be happy to.
You.
So you don't have HR looking for it there, Elena?
Hi there. This is Ronnie.
Good morning.
Good morning. So my situation is where I submitted an offer, and after negotiating here and there, got accepted, and that was on the 27th of February.
Okay.
And on MLS, it shows the stove and microwave. And so I did a separate amendment with the offer that they will bring back, because when we went to see the property, those items are not there, but on the MLS, they show on there. And so I submitted the amendment to have the items there, right? And so, okay, they're bringing it. Supposedly they were in Friday, and now because it's a gas stove, now the gas needs to be connected. And so it's been since the 27th that it's like the loan officer is also waiting for us to go in and do the inspections, and so that hasn't began, the paperwork on the loan side.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they keep calling the listing agent, when are you going to have the items in? So finally they were in. Now it's like there's no gas. Now I need to connect the gas so you can schedule your inspection. And so it's like I'm running out of time on the on the loan side for that to be rolling and close on time. I have the closing schedule for April 6th, but of course, yeah, we can extend it. But at first he was like, are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to be able to close on time? And, your buyer good and all that. And now he's the one, dragging on having all these items installed and have it ready for inspections.
So was this a new construction, Ronnie, or is it?
No. It is an existing from 1954, got remodeled and all that. It looks nice. But
Gotcha. And they sold it with the stove microwave, but that wasn't there yet. They had
right.
Okay. And the appraisal can't happen until they get them installed and connected. Is that what you're saying?
The inspection.
The inspection, the home inspection.
Because even the loan officer hasn't even sent no disclosures to the buyer to sign and all that until I guess she wants to make sure that we're going to proceed with, after inspection and thing.
So I know you don't want to do 2 inspections. I'm just asking the question, but why wouldn't you do the inspection on the rest of the house to make sure it's a good house, knowing you're getting a new stove and a new microwave?
Right.
I know it's a delay, but you're getting brand new appliances, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it should be in working order when you install them, right?
I will hope so. And yeah, that's something to work. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying right now it seems like you're delaying for something that may not have to be delayed. That's all. Elena's been in that situation before on the seller side. Yeah.
May I comment on that? I've been on that situation, and sometimes if you're dealing with an investor on the selling side, sometimes they are closing on another property and they remove the appliance and take them somewhere else, and then they place an order. Appliances are taking a long time to be delivered in some cases. So if they place the order and the appliance doesn't show up, Lowe's don't deliver the day it needs to be delivered, it just, on the seller side, you are not seeing what sometimes we go through. And patience is the key, because at the end of the day, you want to close your deal. And I'm with Marty on that. Just do the rest of the inspection pending the stove and the microwave installation. Now, I've been in situations in certain areas of the city that the gas takes forever to be hooked up. 77011, 77023, 77020. I have the list of the zip codes that older properties, older neighborhoods. I don't understand why it takes so long to get the gas company to show up and hook up and test the lines and do whatever. So you just have to be mindful of the listing side. The listing agent cannot disclose everything that the seller is going through just to put the appliance back in there. Maybe the workers stole the appliance. They had a new construction where we had a $4,000, $5,000 refrigerator that was stolen. And then, of course, my pictures had that $5,000 refrigerator on that construction. Just to find an equivalent refrigerator to replace it was a nightmare on the seller side. And I couldn't disclose that to the buyer at that point. So just my suggestion is just go and do your inspections, pending those 2 items, and keep amending the contract, because at the end of the day, it's about closing and making everybody happy.
Right. Happens that this seller is also the listing agent is the seller. He's an investor. Yes. And yeah, the property is at 77033 area.
There you go. So on that too, just say from a buyer's perspective and a buyer's agent perspective, we're watching out on our timelines. And so we don't want to necessarily be advising our client to wait and then lose out on the opportunity to terminate on the option period. So we're like, here's your opportunity to get the property inspected. We've got these protected in the contract. The seller has to perform prior to closing. And then that way you give your lender a chance to do the work as well. The buyer doesn't want to be the reason it doesn't close, if that's the latest point.
Mhm.
And then the buyer's earnest money's at risk versus making it on the seller. And so, that's the conversation you have with your buyer, either extend the contract, extend the option period and that kind of stuff, or, let's go through the process, make sure that we're ready and make sure to put the pressure on the seller to perform with that new stove.
That's right.
Yep.
That's what I'll do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Elena. That was good.
It's always good also, Marty and Ronnie there, Don, and everybody we get the suggestion to print out or make a copy of the MLS just for the record. And then if you have this kind of an older home in 1950, 1960, even though it does mention it on MLS, I mean, we recommend or as an additional, just to add that non-realty item. And maybe as you do amendments, try to focus on that closing. But then again, that final walkthrough to everything to be completed, maybe as you do the amendment to go ahead and ask, appliance to be back in place prior to final walkthrough, or just kind of getting that push to the other side where they'll be completed, or even though they're taking longer, we don't know what the situation is, but have that in mind that we do need those items to be there before that final walkthrough or closing. Yeah.
The key thing on this one too, obviously the microwave and the stove are usually built in, usually fixtures. In this case, they weren't. So, clearly, to put that in there, they're not really non-realty because they are part of the process. But yeah, when we all too often agents, especially back in the day when we had compensation there, we would use the MLS agreement kind of to be a binding contract, if you will, between parties. It's not that way anymore. It's just information. So we have to make sure as agents that we transfer the information that we want to the contract between the parties. But that's just, again, before we had this compensation sharing, we don't have it anymore. So now what, right? We can't share that. We have a listing of what's offered, but it goes back to a court will look at the contract between buyer and seller. Is it there? So make sure we're looking at that, not assuming that what's in the pictures of the listing or what's on the MLS listing is actually included. Don?
No, everything sounded right to me.
Good. All too often, people, it was there. I go, okay.
Yes.
I say that with one little caution. To the point is when you're listing a property and you're putting in the marketing remarks, even if all I said was true, so you still have to be accurate in your description. The seller has to be accurate, and so do you. I've seen agents list brand new roof on the property, and it's not. It's 3 years old. Okay, it's newer, but they've been actually in lawsuits where they had to replace the roof because it wasn't a new roof. So make sure you're careful in your language of how you market the property. Make sure it's truthful, because that will come back and bite you if it's not.
Yeah, and it does say, and on the seller disclosure and even on MLS, that just because it may show up in a picture or just because it shows on the seller disclosure that it's currently there, it really has no bearing on whether or not it's going to stay. That it really has to be addressed in the offer and the contract itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you see chat?
I did not see chat. Let me see.
I thought you might like the opportunity to respond to that.
All right. Okay. Microphone's not working. Quick question. If I represent the landlord and the tenant request an early termination 2 months before the lease ends, which TAR Trek form should I use? I'm thinking amendment to residential lease, first to allow early move out while keeping them responsible for rent until a new tenant is found or lease ends. Is this the best approach for the landlord? Yeah. The reason Don says that is that you're no longer their agent, Patricia. Once you've placed the tenant, your job was done. So any early terminations done between landlord and tenant, you can't do property management. So if you provide the form and give them guidance, you're acting as a property manager. So no, I get where you're going and the heart behind it. And they can hire you to place a new tenant for that matter, but you should advise them to talk to an attorney on that one. Yep.
Yep. That's, and somebody asked me the other day, well, if we're not supposed to be helping them once it goes under contract, why are those forms there? Why did Texas Association of Realtor create those forms? It's because there are property managers who also have access to those forms. Those are all a form of property management. It has nothing to do with listing it for lease or anything else. They're property management forms.
Yeah, and it feels bad, but you don't want to tell them no. I get that.
That's the tough part. That's the tough part.
Yeah.
I
But
learned my lesson. Now I tell them, you know what? My broker doesn't allow me to do property management. You can call Maria and ask.
that's exactly right.
You can call Raul and ask. I learned my lesson on that one, Mari.
Good.
Just
I'm
because
glad.
I was just doing a simple favor. Just
Right?
because one of those favors, and I learned my lesson.
That is usually not just Elena, but that is usually when we get in trouble, is when we're doing something simple or a favor for a past client or a current client or a friend that we make a mistake. So, yeah.
Unfortunately, we're friends with a real estate license.
Yeah, exactly.
We're held to a higher level. We're held to a different level.
Good question, though. Yeah. Yes, Farah.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I've got a question on that note, Dawn, about real estate license. I'm renewing in September, and I've got a question about Legal 1 and Legal 2. I took them last year, and it was the 2024 and 2025 version. Does that cover me for my 2026 renewal, or do I have to do it again?
You don't have to do it again. As long as you've done it within the last 2 years, it doesn't matter which version it was. It was the correct version at the time. So no, you don't have to retake it.
Woo-hoo! Thank you.
But Bar, if you want to, we have one free in April. So.
That's right. We've got that going. Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Yep. We have an April and a June. So we have Legal 1 in April, and I think June is April 2, Legal 2. So it's coming your way. Just for fun.
I wanted to ask about the new law about reporting cash buyers. Is this just on companies, LLCs, and all the others companies, not regular people?
The way that I read the law is that, yes, it's for institutional buyers or LLC, corporations, partnerships. That was the way that I read it. I didn't see anything in it that mentioned that it was for individual purchasers, but it specifically said LLC and corporations.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't swear to it, but that's the way that I read it.
Yes.
Okay.
I was surprised being here in the last 12 months. There's been 3 different times where I've gotten a call, different agents, different clients, where the buyer had a duffel bag full of cash. Where does it? Well, okay.
We're in Texas. It's normal. I know it's weird, but there are some demographics in the older generation, and it's across the demographics. I mean, I encountered old people, older demographics in all races, and they show up with cash because they didn't trust the bank. It's under the mattress. Whatever, and it's so hilarious because you're like, well, now you have to put it in the bank.
Right. Got to get it somehow to title, and they have to process it. Yeah, exactly. So luckily in most cases they're not getting a loan, so that's good. So okay, Enos, if I'm both landlord and the agent, can I use these forms to renew the lease? Good question. First
Not
of all,
property management.
yeah. See, you have you as the landlord can manage your own properties, right? You as an agent have access to the forms. And so that's a weird thing because the agent can't give it to, let's say you can't do property management for somebody else, right? And therefore access to the forms is using your license. It's a weird one, Don. Thoughts on that? I don't think so.
You don't
Yeah.
think? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things because as landlord, they can, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's a tough one, Ennis, but usually you're allowed to manage your own property because it's yours, you know, whether you're a licensed agent or not. I suppose you could trust yourself doing your own forms, property management that way. I don't know. That's strange. I'll get back to you on that next sure. Because you're probably not doing anything wrong at that point in time, but
That is very tricky.
it's tricky.
And
Yeah.
Very, very, you have to be very, very careful. Your husband can be the owner and you can work for your husband and be the property manager. But you have to be very careful because there is a lot of lawsuits on that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Property management in general is tough, but managing your own property, that's tough, allowed. No, we can't do property management. Yes, correct. Your own property, though, we're talking about access to the real estate forms, you know, and can you use them? I know you can use, if you have your own, a property man, I mean, an owner can use their own forms. And so can an agent owner can use their own forms. It's access to the Texas Realtor forms created for property managers that is kind of the question here, you know. Yeah.
And disclose.
Yep. I'm a realtor. I'm not operating as a property manager, as a realtor. I'm operating as an owner. That's tough. Yeah. We do have a lot of. Yeah, Don.
Yesterday in class. Go ahead, Marie. I'm sorry. Were you finished?
I said, thank you so much. I know, I mean, because, you know, investors and property managers and, you know, we try to have something and work hard for what we have, but then at the short time, you know, that can be taken away from you in a minute. You know, you can lose everything. Mm-hmm. You just have to be careful and follow the rules. I've always been that, you know, I've worked for all the years I've been in real estate. I've only worked for this. You're my third company. And I tell you one thing, I follow the rules to the best of my knowledge. And if I don't know, I ask my brokers.
There we go. Don, you were going to say?
So I was teaching a agency class this weekend. We had something come up that we've talked about here before, and it kind of almost made me laugh when they asked the question, and it had to do with intermediary. And somebody said, if I own the property, if I am owner of the property and I decide to represent the other side, would that be considered intermediary? And I said, it would be considered something you just can't do.
Right. And of course we laugh about this, but it should be common sense, but it's not. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah.
But the idea behind intermediaries, you cannot give advice to either side, right? You're an unbiased, neutral third party. Well, how can you be unbiased with yourself?
Yeah.
Right. There's no way you can be unbiased, a neutral third party when you're one of the principals. So yeah, it's still funny. No matter how good you are. Don might be really good at that, but I don't know.
No, I like myself too much. No.
Right. Oh man. Good questions though.
Yeah. It's funny to me how often when I'm teaching class that we'll have something here that's going on that's so similar to what's going on there, what we're talking about in class. So yeah, I get a lot of real life scenarios that I can use. Although I don't put names out there. So.
You don't say it was Bar. Got it. Anything else? What else we got? Let's see.
Artie, we've been having Don. We've been having agents, when they renew their license with Trek and Realm, whether coming in with a little bit of more of a barrier, not all, but just it comes to where they need to maybe update their contact information under Trek before they do their renewal. It could be something simple, but it could also be something time consuming where you have to be maybe on the phone waiting for them to answer, and then they'll place you on hold. But all they need is for you to update your contact information or your address in a way, and they'll guide you through it. It's just a matter of patience, and that's how it is right now, where you have to call them direct. You can send them a couple of emails, and they might respond, they might not. But as of now, they could be behind on the renewals. Just take into consideration, if you're going to be renewing at the end of the month, you might want to start now, just so won't be in the last minute trying to get that renewal completed and pay your fees or dues, so you won't be inactive. But just FYI, if you need any help, feel free to call us and we'll guide you. But that's pretty much that way to do it. I did get we do get sometimes in a 3-way with them and you on the other line to help, and it's something that could be done in 5 minutes, but it's just updating your contact information so they could go through as a renewal.
No, I thought that was going to be Vara's question when she was saying she was renewing in September. I thought her question was going to be, do you think the portal will be fixed by then?
You started pretty early.
Don't they have a portal now where everybody has to go into their portal and text back and forth your information? It's not like it used to be where you call the state anymore. You have to use your portal. That's why they wanted everybody to, update their information.
They're supposed to. They're still taking some calls. They're still having delays. It's funny because sometimes you're still calling and waiting forever on hold, and it's like, it's probably I don't know, not a very smooth transition for sure. But you're supposed to be using your Realm portal if you can.
Portal.
Yeah. We saw 4 come across today that all expired, and I don't know if they're actually expired or they're behind, right? And so we got to see if you've paid your dues, meaning paid your renewal fee, and you completed your classes, even if your license says you're expired, you're fine.
Yeah,
they've said that. So, but if you haven't paid your renewal fee and you haven't finished your classes, then you actually are. So make sure that doesn't happen. You can't practice real estate, obviously, under your expired license. So, yeah, good job. Thanks, Raul. Yeah, we've seen a few more inactives lately too. It's interesting, tail end of last year too. Hopeful for this year.
I have a comment.
Sure.
I had an agent that was working and he did not know that his license was expired. I had another realtor from another company call me and told me. I said, what you need to do, I said, you need to go back to school and finish your finish your classes, because you cannot be selling real estate. You are not a realtor as of right now. You're not a realtor. I said, you better take care of your business. I said, I always tell them, how in the world can you not forget when your license is renewal? I take my classes 6 months prior to my license expires in October. I already have my classes in August, all of my classes. And I try to tell them, how in the world can you forget when your license is expired?
Yeah, you would. Someone probably has a full-time job somewhere else, more than likely, that does this part-time. I guess is the only way that you would forget. But to your point, and knowing your first renewal or your second renewal or whatever, and here's a plug for HomeSmart. We offer about 45 to 50 free clock hours every single year. So there should be no reason why you don't have enough clock hours, and then we usually offer Legal 1, Legal 2, a contract class at least once or twice, so all you're really needing is electives, and we have tons of those. So if you're right up against your expiration date and you haven't taken advantage of those, I'm sorry, they're free.
I have a question for you, Don. And so where do they go to find those classes? On what section? Or where do they go to find those classes that are good for your MCE?
So which on the first renewal, so your first renewal is what they call SAE, Sales Apprenticeship Education, which is 98 hours. So in your first 2 years, you have to take 98 hours. Those electives and those CE electives, those don't count. So you'd have to take probably 3 30-hour, what they call core courses or QE classes to get that 90 hours. Plus you've got Legal 1 and Legal 2 that you have to take. So really it's 98 hours. In those first 2 years, you have to take 98 hours. After that first renewal, then that's when the CE stuff kicks in, that 18 hours of continuing education, the MCE, mandatory continuing education. That's when those clock hours that we have come in handy, because you only need 18 total, and 8 of those are Legal 1 and Legal 2. So, and if you're a team leader, or if you're a mentor, or if you're somebody who has to take broker responsibility, then that's six hours out of the way, and now you're down to only needing 4 or 5 CE hours. So it just depends on where you are. But those 98 hours, those 3 30-hour courses, that's only through a provider. You can only take that through, a school or somebody like that. You can take them online, but it's through a school.
And yes, exactly. And this year we are offering Legal 1, Legal 2, right? April and June. And we're offering broker responsibility in November. So right there, you have 8 plus a 3 o'clock hour for contracts, a 6 o'clock hour for broker review. You have 1 hour left for a renewal. So you take any other class.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
Yep. And I forgot, Marty, I need to talk to you about that too, about the ability I might be able to do our broker responsibility too.
Nice.
So Don, just to recap on that, for new agents, like some of my mentees are new agents, and I think they're not, I don't know what they're doing, but anyhow, so the CE that we old seasoned agents take, those classes do not apply for new agents renewing the first time?
Exactly. No, they don't.
Oh, I better send a mass email this morning. And so they have to take 98 hours?
Yes, probably 3 30-hour courses, and then Legal 1 and Legal 2. And out of those 3 30-hour courses, there has to be 3 hours of it has to be contracts.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
There's specifically SAE classes though for the first renewal.
SAE. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Which I think sometimes those SAE classes should be included in your first license.
Yeah.
They're a lot more practical. So
yeah. And they don't let you load up like beforehand. It's got to be during that 2-year period. You can't take a whole bunch ahead of time and let them roll over. It's got to be during that 2 hours. And the same thing with CE too. You can't load up on CE and carry it forward for 2 or 3 more renewals. We won't let you do that.
Yeah. You can use the one renewal, can't you? But you take too many in one 2-year period, you can roll over some of it.
On some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
On your first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Juan, are you gonna be doing any commercial classes again?
Oh yeah, we'll do them again. Yeah.
Okay. Not the same one we did last week. Is leases maybe?
We could do the commercial lease. That's a easy form. We can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Good idea. Good idea.
We'll get that recording of Don's class posted today as well. So that'd be good.
I was thinking the next one we might do for a commercial would be unimproved, but we could do the lease instead if that would be better received. Then we can do that. But I think we're going to alternate in the master class. I think we'll alternate between residential and commercial, back and forth. So it's not all of one or all the other. If that sounds okay, Marty.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Keeps it interesting. It's all interesting, but you know what I
And
mean.
I love doing it because it's the same reason that I teach. It keeps me sharp too. Well, you know, as sharp as I can be. It's one of the reasons I started teaching, because I thought, man, this will it'll make sure that I'm up on what's going on, which is important to do.
I'm with you, Don.
Yeah, I'm a big believer, always have been, whether it be in healthcare or real estate, is, you know, you got to see one. So be someone else showing you what to do it. You got to do one, right? Get good at it yourself. And then you got to teach one. And once you can teach it, you know it really well. I think the danger is if you always teach, you got to keep on doing too, right?
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, once you can teach it, you've mastered it, if you will. And that really helps you know your stuff. So, yeah, exactly. And so that's why mentorship is so cool too, right? You're showing them how to do it. They're doing it. And of course, then the idea of turn around and have them teach somebody else to do it. So.
I'm trying to do one. I got one. Now I'm trying to do one.
Right? It is funny, not funny, because the market shifts, right? We all talk about experience, and I can walk into a seller and say, I've sold 700 property, I've done whatever. When's the last time you sold it? Well, okay, now it's been, 2 years from now. No, it's been recently than that. But still, the point is, you got to keep your hands in it, engaged, because the market does shift.
Experience only goes so far. It's funny because this business is so different than so many things, where experience is not the primary thing that people look for. It's like what your ability to help them right here, right now. And so it's almost like I always thought, okay, well, when I first got in the business, it's like, oh, I don't have any experience, and so nobody's going to hire me, which turned out not to be true. And now it's almost like with so much experience, people go, you've been in business how long? And you tell them, they go, do you know how this new technology stuff works? It's like, yeah, I know how to turn on my computer and everything. I know how to do
it. Yeah. Although some of the questions we get is still like, how do I upload something? Right. So you just never know. Right. And so, yeah, that is funny.
Yeah.
Anything, what's going on this, anything major? What do we got? Look at the calendar.
We're moving.
We're moving our main office branch this week. So next week, the plan is a week from today. Next Monday's Coffee Talk with a Broker should be from our new dig. So I know, right? That's the goal. There's still, the furniture isn't there yet, but we're working on it. So very exciting. We have a special event tomorrow. See, I knew I had to look at the calendar for a reason, right? So tomorrow, I'll get to you in a sec, Samantha. Tomorrow, at the Katy training location in Public Square Building, we're having a special event. We've got a 1 hour clock hour class on mold. We have a meet and greet with our smart partner, Muscular Moving Men in Storage. And then we're going to do something else. Don and I, Raul and I, whatever, we'll be there for like a live Q&A or live coffee talk or whatever. We'll go from there. Yeah, right. But it's one of those things where this is the only day they could come to town. So we're kind of having a special event around it. So come out, get a 1 clock hour on mold. Apparently the class is pretty cool. Deanna helped us out with that, and get a free lunch. So I like that. So
y'all will love the instructor on the mold class, Ed Camp. He's awesome. He used to be a lender years and years and years ago. So I've known him about 30 years, and he won't admit that, but we have. He used to be a lender. He was a lender for years and years, and then went into this business. And boy, he has really taken off. He has turned it into a very successful business.
Does he do remediation then too? On this?
He doesn't really get too much in. It depends on the situation, but yeah, he does some, or at least he has people who will do the remediation as well for certain things.
Nice. And then of course, Don's doing his Contracts 101 class up in the Woodlands on Wednesday. And then our Forms Friday, I think we're going back to the HOA addendum. Is that what we're doing, Don?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So good stuff ahead this week, but definitely tomorrow. I'm glad I looked, because I keep forgetting, because it's like, oh, it's quiet, but tomorrow. Yeah. Yes, Janice. I'm curious how everyone does their listing presentation, or if you have a unique protocol. That's good. Now, I've done a couple classes on listings as far as the process, and of course, I just did the the Smart Meet, and I talked a little bit about how I do my listing presentation. But we should have a class or a workshop on putting together a presentation on that. I think it'd be fantastic. But anybody else is welcome to unmute. But I know for me, I like having a packet put together that's ready to go. And then all I have to do is put the CMA in there. So I've got things like my past, like material for flyers I've used, an example of the photography I use. I talk about sort of my marketing plan for every house. I talk about how important it is for pricing, and put those things together with high quality sort of print material. And usually I have it bound, but anybody else? What do you guys do?
Well, Marty, you're a big proponent for a one-time.
I am.
Right? A one-time presentation where you do it all at once. How about you, Raul? What do you do?
Well, we this Saturday we were working with a mentor, and she's having. I'm sorry, a mentee, and they're doing 3 acres up in Willis, Texas, and they're 2 different acres. So it's kind of more like a structured kind of a listing presentation. And just so we did get involved the comparables as well, and maybe the 2 surveys together, even though they're 2 separate properties. So I think it has to be along, what each property has to offer and how you can present it just to make it work. And then again, this seller was interviewing 2 or 3 agents, and it looks like they're going to go with our agent just because of the presentation. They did, of course, have other items in the land they're going to leave, and all that plays in also on the listing agreement in a way, just to cover all those angles, especially if there's a section there that floods or not. So they saw that our agent was pretty savvy on what they were talking about, and they met him up there. Even though it was raining, she met him up there. So it was good. So it's about in person as well when you present this kind of a listing presentations.
Yeah, I would always do them in person. I don't think I would ever do one virtually. This is one where you're building relationship. As I did in my class the other day, listings, it's 99% about confidence. Can they believe that you're the one to do the job for them? They want to be comfortable working with you, know you're going to be on top of things, but you guide them. Much of every listing presentation really is, what do you got? What are you looking for? Here's how I can help you. This is why you should choose me. Let's sign the agreement and let's get going down the road, right? And Don mentioned this too. I like doing it one time. I do a lot of pre-work. I put a lot of effort in up front to set the appointment, give them information, set the tone or expectation before I get there. And then I follow through and deliver, and I walk away with a listing agreement. And then Don and I do things differently there as well. I always talk about, are we going to work together? And then we're going to talk about price later. Don talks about price up front. So it's your style, but I know what's worked for me and over the years. It's developed over time. And majority is they have to feel comfortable with you. And I expect that I'm getting a signed agreement, and I expect I'm going to have a listing, and I do. I think 99% of the time, it's rare that they want to talk to somebody else after meeting me, right? And sometimes it happens, right? But they're like, okay, fine. But you do the same thing. I like consistency and being, even though the property may be different, I don't change my style. I just, like, okay, what are you looking for, right? So, Ivara, go ahead.
I'm similar to you, Marty, but I also have a pre-listing agreement, a pre-listing presentation that I send out that's got like the flow chart in it, acronyms, lender information, various bits and pieces that are applicable to that person's situation, whether they're a seller or a buyer. And that's what I send out and say, here's some pre-read material for you ahead of our in-person meeting. But then I also have my listing presentation. Like you, I do a lot of pre-work in advance, but it's a preset presentation too, other than the property itself. I delve into it and I have a section that's specific to the property. And I've got another section on the CMA. But yeah, I've got my standards, and it makes it so much easier when people come along to go back to those standard templates and just tweak them and make them fit for purpose for whatever seller or property you're looking at.
Yeah, 100%. I do the exact same thing. You have confidence when you know the material. You don't have to read it or have to look at it. It says a lot, but you're covering the same sections that you do for everybody. And like you said, you can focus, hyper focus on that specific property or specific situation, so they know that you actually look at their property. That's really good. The pre-listing package is super helpful. It sets the tone of your professionalism of what they can expect. So you're not starting off cold. You're starting off, oh, they've already delivered value to me. They are coming and they're following through on what they've already promised. I laughed, though. I'm laughing only because of the comments in the chat. Leanne asks, what if you have a new listing that was previously listed and never sold? And Elena goes, that's what was previously. No.
Yeah, well, no, but what was the expectation?
Maybe, yeah, but no.
I'm sure. I mean, you know me, how I talk. But
I know.
Probably in a listing presentation, I will never ask that. I will say, what were your expectations before that were not met by the previous agents?
Great.
That is the right wording, but I mean, over here, I feel like family, so I can, spice it up.
We love you, and you're exactly right. You want to find out what happened. Why?
What was expectations? Yeah.
And I always, again, this is a great way to lead into that conversation around pricing, right? It didn't sell. You as an agent can look it up and go, okay, the pictures look fine. Okay, what else is there? How was it priced? You can look at all the details. All right, was it the price lowered over time? Okay, great. Now you have a pretty good idea, but you want to ask the question like Elena says. So, what was the expectation? What were you told? Where did you start off? Or the marketing efforts and so forth. However, here's what we have control over. We have no control over the market, but we need to know what the market's doing because it affects your value. We can't change the location, but we can tell you how your location affects market value, where it's at right now with what's going on. What we have control over, though, is exposure, marketing. This is what I can do different. This is what I can do to get more eyeballs on your property and make it look right. We have control over condition. Is the home show ready? There's some things that I can advise you to do to make sure your home looks right, the best when people walk up to the door. Okay. And then there's pricing. That's something we can do together based on what the market's telling us. We can test that. And so all of these things could affect sellability and how fast it sells or why it didn't sell. So let's take a look at your property, explore these things, look at the values, and it may be a combination of things, right? But here's what I will do to help you sell your home and what we'll do together to make sure we meet as many buyers as possible in the shortest amount of time to get your house sold for you, right? Setting the expectation and talking about and then you put all of that and saying, this is the data we're going to have together. I'm going to present it to you, tell you what things we can do different, kind of pinpoint in certain areas. And then we're going to test the markets to make sure we're priced right quickly. And we see the most amount of buyers, right? So it's really, it's confidence again, without saying your last agent sucked. Saying, hey, let's look at it, right? And oftentimes then you're following up, hey, look, the market's shifting or the market shifted. I can see why it didn't sell at this point in time. You probably should have moved a little bit earlier on pricing, or you could have priced a little bit lower, or we could have replaced the carpet or painted this wall, whatever it may be. You're bringing solutions to the table without blaming and saying, here's how we go. It's going to be different this time because you're working with Roni Molina. You're working with Don Leonard. You're working with Marty McClendon, right? It is one of those things. Okay? And do not take a listing for 2 or 3 months. That's individual, true. If you put that much value in it, you want to understand and know when the market is. If you go in there and say the average home on the market is selling in 3 months, if priced right accordingly, if the seller's willing to price it right, and you're willing to take the investment where you're putting money out on their behalf to market it, that's up to you. But generally, things change. Market shifts. It may take longer. So typically I take a 6-month listing, but it's up to you. Don, Raul?
Well, I'll say that's pretty much the same conversation that I've always had. It's like 2 things sell your home: price and exposure.
Yeah.
So I used to, if this was an expired listing or a property that had been listed before, I would do the MLS readout and I would take a look at it and see, would I do things differently, or the pictures or whatever, and I'd take it with me and I would say, okay, so price and exposure are the 2 things that are going to sell your home. Let's look at exposure. Because primary exposure is MLS. So let's take a look at what is on this readout, and I'll tell you if there's anything that I would do differently. And then I would point out what I'd do differently, because sellers are looking for, especially those sellers, they're looking for answers. They're looking for solutions. It's like, what happened before? I don't want it to happen again. What are you going to do different to make sure it doesn't happen again? And so I would go through all of that. And then we get through the exposure part and say, okay, let's talk about the second part, which is price. So, I mean, It's the same conversation, just delivered a different way. But I would never do one virtually. I would only do it in person. Body language is so important. You know, they need to see mine. They need to see that I'm confident in what I'm saying, and I need to see what those reactions are. I need to see what kind of reactions I'm getting from what I'm saying. So yeah, it's critical.
One of the common things, I work with a lot of really top listing agents, either training them or just shadowing them as the broker with different companies. And it's funny, the common thing I have for all of them, some of them I would not do their process whatsoever. You know, they come across as way too aggressive or too rude for me or whatever, but they all were successful because what they did was they showed confidence and took leadership, and they were able to guide the seller through the process. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the house. Here's what I recommend for the condition. Here's what pricing's doing right now. Here's what we need to do. You know, it's kind of like they want to be informed, but in many ways they want to be led as well. Much more so than a buyer or whatever in those cases. And then, of course, you got to follow through with communication. That's huge. So, yeah. Good. Thank you, Nellie.
I have a question
Yes, go, Nellie.
about for my listing agent, because I'm more the buyer agent. But you know, on the listing agreement, on the section, I think it's 19, where we have the addendas. Down at the bottom, there is one blank, like in the letter P, that you can add other addendums on there. So on there, you know how we give the affiliated business disclosure, and we also give a consumer notice protection, something like that. So can we put those forms in there? Because I don't know, for me, it kind of helps me remember that I have to give those forms as well, you know, to the client. Is that something that we have? Can we put that on there, or that's only for addendas specifically?
Yeah, it's supposed to be for addenda, but with it being the listing agreement, if you threw it in there, I don't think it would be that horrible a thing. But yeah, notifications are not what's for that section specifically, but I don't see, to me, there would not be an issue, because that's a document between us and the seller. And so, to me, of course, that's a Marty call. It's his license. It's his license. But
yeah, it's addenda. But to Don's point, to all of you as well, listing agreement and buyer tenant rep agreement. Those are agreements between the broker and the client. Those are not agreements between buyer and seller or landlord and tenant. So whatever we're requiring, if you wanted to, that I wouldn't have a problem. On the buyer broker agreement, buyer agent, buyer tenant agreement, you have the IABS, you have the general information notice, whatever. So it's okay. Clearly, you would do that on an agreement between buyer and seller, though, or, you know, on the purchase agreement. But yeah.
Got it.
Good question. All right.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love this meeting that we do.
Yes, we do. I love how they bounce off each other and things come. I agree.
I love them too. I love your meetings.
Awesome. Anything else before we call it a meeting? I'm going to stop the recording so you can. This is usually when the good stuff comes out. When I know.